Hello everybody. Today I would like to speak about the financial security. Now first let's see what is the money. Money, this is a financial tool. The more money, the better. Tell me, would you be happy if you had so much money that you would never have to worry about your financial problems? If you knew for sure that you can pay bills, provide your family, guarantee good education for your children, travel, afford expensive things, would you be happier? Of course, yes. That's we call financial security. Let's take a closer look what is it and why it's important to live in a financial security. The basic difficulty of any person, lack of knowledge or uncertainty about tomorrow. Feeling safe is a natural human need. We want to be sure that nothing threatens us. If there is no certainty, it becomes a problem. It is difficult for a person to exist in a condition when he doesn't know what will happen tomorrow. There are many dangers in our world that we cannot foresee. For example, hurricane or earthquake. In such circumstances, we need to pay special attention to our personal financial security. One of the basic laws of life. Person cannot feel confident in an environment if this environment is unstable. Believe me, only having reached safety, a person can acquire true love, friendship, respect, high status and the opportunity to self-fulfillment. Financial security, it's a pleasure of life and happiness. I think you will agree that a person who is confident about his tomorrow gets more pleasure in life than someone who lives in a constant fear. Many of people refuse to admit that many problems of their lives arise exactly because of lack of financial security, abbreviated of LFC, like financial security. The main problem of the person's life is LFC. The main problem is LFC. It means that lack of financial security is the inability of a person to confront existing emerging dangers and threats. It is in the inability to protect your vital interests, home, work, hobbies, social circle, and everything that brings a person pleasure from life. Manifestation of LFC virus. Let me put things straight. This is not a literally disease. We use this concept as a metaphor, but LFC virus is a disease, have a lot of common, and this virus can affect the country too. Many countries suffer from this virus. These are the countries that live in the debt and suffer financial setbacks. For example, Greece. Does anyone know about the crisis in Greece? National public debt is 153% of GDP, or 330 billion euros. This means that residents must work for at least 3 years, cutting all expenses in half to cope with the debt. What kind of financial security can be there? The whole country is subject to LFS. Through the country, people are afraid, failing to pay back loans, losing their jobs and homes. Let's take a closer. How is the LFS virus manifest itself? Manifestation of LFS virus. First of all, you have debts to be returned. Where do debts or loans come from? Good question. I will answer. You are ready to take them or ask someone to lend your money. This is always your personal decision. And this is important. This is your personal decision. By doing so, you reduce your financial security because you have mandatory payments, which you cannot refuse. You depend on the enterprises that provide you these loans. And all that happens because you don't have enough money to buy the desired things for a full cost. You are not initially financially secured. Or in another case, you borrow money from a friend or relative and promise to return the money in a year. Now you need to think about keeping your promise. It's necessary to save a certain amount every month to repay the debt at the end of the year. If any month you fail to do it, in the next you will have put twice as much as your in-coin box. Doesn't it make you nervous? Of course it does. You worry. You are afraid that you are not able to give money back. Thus, you lose your financial security even more. Manifestation of LFC virus. Danger to survive your family. Family will always strive to spend more than earns. For example, the husband needs a new computer, his wife wants a pair of boots, and their child dreams about a bicycle. Even if all members of the family understood that this month they can afford only one thing, Disputes are likely to begin. In order not to offend anyone, the lack of funds is often borrowed from the friends or loaned from the bank. So the financial security of the whole family falls. Manifestation of LFC virus. Third, unprotected vital interest. Tell me, what are your unprotected interests in life? It can be any subject. It can be work, hobby, anything. You don't have to name them now. Just think about them. Many of our interests require financial support. When you are sick with the LFS virus, all your interests are under threat. Manifestation of LFS virus. Weakness in defending your interests. For example, you borrow money from a friend, but you cannot give it back. You take on the role of debtor, and the same friend asks you to help him with house renovation. At the same day, your daughter has a performance at the school, and he wants to see it very much, but you play the role of debtor. You need to smooth off the blame for the unpaid loan, and you are forced to reject your interest under the interest of your daughter. Do you understand how unfairly the LFC virus can betray you? Yeah. Manifestation of LFC virus. Sharp threat of property loss. Everyone knows how easy it is to lose property. For example, if you do not pay the loan for a house. And do I have to explain how it feels? Of course not. Manifestation of LFC virus. 6. Fear of loss. The symptom is closely related to the previous one. Only a few will try to solve the problem. Someone will leave everything, as if someone will decide to make life easier with antidepressant, alcohol, drugs. The results will be terrible. And a sad fact, in America, more people die each year from the consumption of medicine than in a car accident. You have to think about it. Manifestation of LFC virus. Inability to build long-term plans and set global goals. Limited thinking how to make ends meet until the next salary. When the day to pay the bills approach, but the person's salary was over already yesterday, can he think about for a month, a year, or 10 years ahead? I don't think so. All this attention is directed to solving short-term problems. Manifestation of LFC virus. Number 8, lack of authority among others. If you have the LFC virus, even your own family members can ignore and disrespect you, and the results will be terrible. Manifestation of LFC virus. Number 9, insecurity in your abilities. There are many common times when a person stops believing in anything. Such a person can start doubting all his abilities and giving up. He believes that he cannot get any better, cannot be financially successful. He sees himself as a loser in any situation. But tell me, if you don't trust yourself, who will trust you? Manifestation of LFC virus. Number 10, need to do some things life imposes on us. Most people are addicted to work because if they remain without the source of income, a person will be forced to do something he doesn't actually like. He becomes a victim of his own insecurity and outer circumstances. Interesting fact. Gallup Institute, one of the largest American research organizations, calculated that only 13% of employers love what they do for a living, and the rest just go to work not taking care of what they actually have to do there. Manifestation of LFC virus. Number 11, expenses exceeded revenues. Expenses exceeded revenues. Who can remember his first salary? What was the amount? Were you glad to receive it? It was a small amount, I suppose, but it probably didn't matter because your expenses were just low. Expenses matter. It happened that a family or a person has income growing, but the costs are growing even faster. Or one can use a credit card. This is when at the end of the month there is no money left and a person borrows some funds to give back next month and to borrow again. Do you have a credit card? Congratulations, you are all in debt. Do you know what is the right approach? Spend less than you earn and build reserves. I know what thinking about the reserve is difficult, but if you don't think about them yourself, who will do it for you? So there is a question, what should be the income for a person's financial security? Let's think together. First of all, it has to be constant. Income must be generated always, not from time to time. This is how you can count on having enough money for a decent life next month or next year. Has to be high. Of course, this factor is extremely important because with low incomes, you will not think about financial independence. But how to survive until the next salary? You will think about it, how to survive until the next salary. Must to be stable. Ideally, the source of income should only depend on one person, yourself. If it can be influenced by the economic situation in the country or other people, this is not 100% financial security. Stable income in terms of financial security is an income that doesn't depend on the existing system or a crisis or peaceful times. It also does not depend on anyone except yourself. And I would like to tell you main elements of financial security. The main elements are, first of all, absence of debts. Absence of debts. This includes a full ownership of a house, a car, a financial obligation, like a credit card debts. Secondly, constant availability of funds in a stable and reliable asset. It's necessary to have enough money in reserve to cover unforeseen expenses. The main rule here is to have a sum equivalent to the one of the person spends living for a minimum of 3 months. Your income has to be reliable income. It's good to have multiple sources of income and several ways to keep it. If one source of income suddenly breaks down, the others will remain. If one asset fails in price, others will be saved. Number 4, protection against financial risks. Protection against financial risks is due to the availability of an adequate reserve, other means of protecting your assets. It is possible to reduce financial risk if prepared in advance. For example, if we invest in gold, our money will not be lost as a paper money with the next round of inflation. Improper asset management causes crises. From 1970 till 2011, 160 different countries faced 147 bank crises. Just think about these numbers. For 41 years, there was 147 banking crises in 116 different countries. Financial security, first of all, is a freedom. So what is a freedom? Freedom is an availability to do what you think important and necessary. It's a freedom from any dependencies, from everything that binds you and suppresses your will. When you can freely choose your profession, the country where to move, the house where your family will live, the circle of communication, and anything that brings you joy and happiness. By achieving financial security, you became the master of your life. And financial security is a freedom. Lack of financial security is a slavery. Gold is the basis of financial security. Our financial freedom is possible thanks to gold. Why? Because gold is an eternal metal that never loses its value. Gold retains in historical value for a long time. Gold doesn't deteriorate and grows in price. And gold does not depend on economic shocks. And gold, as you know, is a highly liquid asset. So manifestation of LFC virus. You have debts to be returned, danger to survive or a family, unprotected vital interest, weakness of defending your interest, sharp threat of property loss, fear of loss, inability to make long-term plans, lack of authority among others, insecurity in your abilities, need to do something life, society imposes on, and expenses exceed revenues. That was 11 manifestations. We want these 11 manifestations to never occur to your life path. And if you stumble upon them, you should know how to examine yourself for the right diagnosis and cure it. We don't want our clients to be sick with the LFC virus. We want to live without LFC. Our company's goal, Global Intergold, is to help millions of people around the world solve the LFC problem. There are those trying to sell gold. There are those trying to make money. There are those trying to manage finances. And we are actually engaged in financial security.